Nah, we got down there. I mean, it's a little nipply, but I got reported for dangerous activity. You come on up, Justin.
Now, I was wondering what happened. It seemed like everybody was having a good conversation, and all of a sudden, I was sitting there watching, and it just
Yeah,
went bloop. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah. Apparently, when you're driving, you're not supposed to look at the phone or anything like that. And I'm still learning how to do all this. I know there's a way to flip the screen around to where you can watch what I'm watching. You just don't see me.
Yeah, but I mean, that should be a null point when you got the back screen like you do, right?
Uh,
I mean, I don't know. If you got a back screen, can't nobody see that you're driving?
I had the seat belt on, and I kept looking at the screen and looking away, looking at the screen, looking away. It's just, and I don't know if it was AI that did it or somebody else did it, or there's no way of proving it. It gets restored back here in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, because I was just I took a phone call right after I'd asked you that question about when y'all were doing the fundraiser for FOPT because I'm going to donate. One my wife and her family is from West Virginia for one.
Okay.
When I had my shop, I was working with one of the orphanage or foster homes here in where I'm at in Florida, and I was bringing the kids that were fixing to age out. You know, I'd bring them into the shop, teach them about oil changes and brakes, and
Right.
don't know if they want to make a career out of it or not, but
Yeah. So the way that I understand it is the raffles are going toward the orphanage.
And that's the raffles I just seen that OG had put up with the snack raffles.
No, I was just told no. That's not even right.
No. Oh,
What's going to the orphanage? Hold on.
No. The microwave one, the one that has the microwave and stuff, the starter kit, that goes towards the orphanage.
Okay.
In name of Rich.
All right.
And then the other baskets go towards the trucker relief fund.
Okay.
And then the 50-50
goes toward the trucker relief.
Yes, the trucker relief.
All right. So the baskets go toward the trucker relief fund. The 50-50 goes toward the trucker relief fund. The orphanage goes toward the eat-in starter kit. It's got the microwave in it and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
I'm sure. Are you going to be at Matt's?
No, I'm not going to be at Matt's. I start driving. I don't know if you know my backstory about all what I've went through in the last couple of months after getting my CDL, but I'm going to be driving. I'm starting with nights Monday with a trainer. So I'm OTR with him. So 14 or 28 days or 14 days with him on it too.
If you get a hold of OG Cupcake, he's on here. I don't know if you've come across him or not.
Yeah, we're friends.
Okay. If you reach out to him, I'm sure he'll let you send him money that can be donated directly to that. I don't have anything to do with the financial side of this, so I don't accept money or anything on any of that.
Yeah, I'll get with him then. I'll get with him.
But yeah, I can't see why he wouldn't.
Yeah, I'll get with him because it's not going to be a little amount, so not my plan.
Oh, well, yeah, he will definitely take whatever you want to give, whether it's $1, $100, whatever it is. I'm sure he will more than be happy to take any donation you got.
Yeah.
Because I think that orphanage has got his fiance's got something to do with that one.
Yeah, see our trucking company when I started it this year, I kept running into the insurance problems where I don't have a year or 2 years. So it was really high. So I said, all right, bet. So I put the trucking company in West Virginia because originally my insurance guy was like, yeah, man, it came in at 18 grand for the year for West Virginia. Okay, cool. Me and my wife have a little piece of property up there that we're planning on building on.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, bet, I'll put it up there. So I did. Well, I've paid for everything, all the filings, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not changing it now. It can stay there, and I'll just hire a terminal manager, I'll hire a dispatcher, and I'll hire a driver. And I'll use, the money. I'll use the money that I make off running for night to, build up my experience and I'm only doing it for the insurance, because they want you to have, if a year or 2 years of driving before they'll really insure somebody that's in my position.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, But the insurance did come in a lot cheaper with somebody with 30 years and, you know what I mean, and taking me off as a driver.
Right.
There was a lot less problems there. But from what I was understanding and reading, and from what the way the lady on the FMFCA made it sound out, the only reason I'm looking at doing a terminal manager and a dispatcher and putting them in the office there is because I guess, the audit side of it sounds like they're going to be bringing back in-person audits. And if the driver's not there, that ain't going to make no sense for me. And they're going to have problems with it. And I don't need those issues. Because I was going to lease on to JB Hunt with my own truck. Because I do have my own truck sitting here in the yard. It just sits here, though.
Do that. JB Hunt's not a bad company. Like, I don't think there's actually any bad companies. There's ones that, oh, that's nice. Like, there's companies out there that get a bad rep, like Swift. But you can make $100 grand with Swift and be home every other weekend. Hell, there's a contract they've got where you can be home every weekend.
Yeah, I just found out that Knight Transport acquired them in U.S. Express. I didn't know that they owned that. I didn't know that they acquired.
Oh yeah. Oh, Swift has a lot of companies up underneath their umbrella.
Yeah, and then that's the other thing. When we were in that training, they put up a screen of all the little companies that Knight has, and I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Knight and Swift did a merge 10, 12 years ago.
See, and I didn't know that until just now. I just recently found that out when I went and did their DQP training in Lakeland.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Hey, Big Bird. Sorry about that earlier. I got reported for distracted driving.
I figured that when I seen that seatbelt.
But
I don't understand how I was distracted, but whatever.
Next month I'm adding tanker and hazmat to my license.
That's a smart thing.
Yeah. I've made a lot of money with mine.
Well, my buddy up in West Virginia was telling me there's a bunch of hazmat tanker runs right now, and I'm like, I don't have it, so even if I tried to run that, I couldn't run that anyways. So
that's all I've done in the last 30 years. I did take a jump out for a little while and pulled a square peg reefer around and figured, that's not for me.
Well, that's like me. I like my flatbed, man. I'm a flatbed type of guy, but I mean, you think about it, the last 5 years I've been hot shot. And hot shot, I ran around with a 40-foot tandem, dually wheeled trailer, and I loved it. That's what I love doing. I think y'all were having a conversation the other day of, backing up. Listen, I have no pride in that. I will get out 100 times to make sure I'm square before I hit anybody.
You could have 30, 40, 50 years of doing this, and you're going to wake up one day and you can't do anything right. I don't care if you got 40 acres to back it into a hole. You're going to have problems.
That's like...
Done it. I had a guy come up there and start screaming and hollering at me. I was just having a bad day. I was an off day, a bad day, all the way around. Nothing was going right. I tried backing it into a spot. and every time I was doing what I was doing, I was throwing myself off, and a guy come up there and started screaming at me and carrying on. You fucking greenhorn, blah blah. Oh, excuse that. I didn't mean to throw that. But and I like, dude, I got it. Just freaking leave me freaking alone. I'm not in the freaking mood for this bullshit.
And I don't understand how people are like that, because those are guys too. They'll wake up and have that bad day.
Oh yeah.
But nobody thinks about that. They just think, oh, look at this guy. He can't back up. He's got to be new. No.
No, and that's
Hell,
the
I
thing.
drive
Like
a damn tanker, and you can see around that damn thing all the way clear, and you can't anything else. And I'm telling you, there's days where I just can't back it worth a shit.
well, that's like I don't remember exactly where I was at, but I was up north somewhere. I think I was in Ohio or somewhere, and I ran I don't know 700-800 miles that day, and I was just tired. I was beat, after waiting around for 2 or 3 hours that morning trying to get loaded. I was just beat. And I'm trying to back in at the end of the day at a pilot, and I was just having a hard time. I even had went down, turned around, because at first I was like, I'll just pull up straight and I'll just kind of back in on my blind side a little bit, but I'll be on my left side after. But I was just having a bad day, man, and there was a couple drivers there that got out, kind of helped me get into the hole without hitting nobody, because I wasn't worried about my right side, but I was really worried about my left side, because it was a brand new Kenworth sitting there, and I'm like, man, I don't want to deal with that if I hit that.
If I got to use the restroom and I'm trying to back in, I might as well give it up. I might as well just park on the fuel island, run in, do what I got to do, and then go park. So I got to use the restroom. I ain't getting around. And if you get one of them truck stops where it's all rooted out or whatever, and you're trying to back into a spot.
Yeah.
The trailer ain't going the right way that you want it to go, and it's following the routes and everything else.
And I don't know about y'all, but me, if you've got 3 open spots and I'm aiming for the middle one, I ain't going to be able to back it up there. But I'll tell you what, if you got 1 open spot with a truck on each side, I can one-shot that thing all day long.
Same. Except if I got to use the restroom.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Rocky will vouch for this. I mean, there's days we wake up, we're having a bad day, and you know what I mean? I might mess something up, I might break something, or I might misdiagnose. I've had it happen. I misdiagnosed the truck a few months back where my employee caught it. I didn't catch it, but I thought it was the brake brake was bad, and it wasn't. It was actually a broken spring. And I didn't, you know what I mean? I was just having a bad day that day, though. I was, it was a bad day for me that day. That was a terrible 6 day for me. You know how they say bad things come in 3s? Not that day. That was a 6 for me. I had 6 things go wrong all that one day. I had my guy that ran my service truck. Ended up having to deal with FHP that day because he backed over the Dunkin' Donuts sign, didn't see it. And I'm like, bro, you got to be kidding me. Get out and look. We have it on the mirror of a service truck. GOAL. Get out and look. There ain't no backup camera.
No, they're talking about putting those little stickers on our mirrors where I work at. And I told myself I would rip that off every damn time. It's nothing but a distraction to me.
Yeah, it's muscle memory for me. But I grew up around cement mixers, and my dad was a driver. I grew up around tow trucks.
Hey, Wild Child, come on up.
Your company, right, Sam?
Yeah, I am.
I'm company now too. For now, for the next year.
There ain't nothing wrong with it.
No, I'm not listening.
No.
I need the experience. Make my insurance better. It's a business decision on my side of it, and I listened to all you guys' advice, and this was my best route to go, and that just keeps my money flow coming for me.
My soon-to-be son-in-law and daughter, they just both lost their jobs here last year. And he just went back, and he'd been out for 4 years, and he had to go with night. And that's where he's been right
Get a
now.
Kleenex.
Yeah, that's who I'm leaving out Monday with a trainer. They're trying to find me a trainer for Monday.
We get a Kleenex.
He runs out of Lakeland. There.
That's where Lakeland's my terminal also.
He had to do. I forget how many miles he had to before they gave him his own truck and all that. But
So my trainer. All right, so the one trainer and then my DDM, for which is the driver manager, whatever it is.
right.
They're in a toss up because one, JDM CoFreight wouldn't verify the driving that I did for them. They wouldn't even answer the emails or the phone call. And I wouldn't either, I guess, if I'm getting sued in July. So, I mean, but because I'm suing them in July for, I'm going to court in July with them about not paying me. Even though I sent in the BOLs, and my where I delivered, the certificate, or not the certificate, but where it was signed that I did deliver and it was successful and all that on time. They don't know if they're going to have me 14 days with a trainer or 28 days with a trainer. It all depends on what the trainer says.
Yeah, which is all understandable.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I mean, I'd be the same way, with my trucks. I guess I want to make sure you can shift gears because my trucks aren't automatics. My trucks are manuals. And the last thing I need somebody getting in there is a newbie, and they grind out every gear I got.
Right. See,
I'm gonna be pretty upset.
I had the same problem too 30 years ago because we had our own authority and all that. We were hauling cars. I've done livestock. I've done all that. Well, when I lost my dad and my stepmom started doing everything she was doing, a buddy of mine, hey, why don't you just come work for us? Da 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 da. I said, all right. Well, he said, they're not going to hire you. I said, well, why? Well, because you don't have no trucking experience. I said, what are you talking about? I ain't got no trucking experience. I got my own authority. I got all this and everything else. And I said, all I need is a truck. And then they had to contact our customers and all that. And that's the only way I got on. If it wasn't for that, I don't know.
Yeah, and see, they talked about that with me because I had my own authority for 5 years. But everything I did was hot shot for that 5 years. And it was cheaper to do hot shot, but my last in 24 and 25, I did something stupid. I bought a 2008 F350 with a 6.4 diesel, and that's where I had made my mistake. I spent more time broke down with that truck than I did making any money with that truck. So, mistake learned.
I hope whatever Sarah wanted, the two questions that Sarah wanted to ask Matt, she remembers it, wrote it down.
Well, I was trying to get them in here, but I guess when I'm on my personal, not as many people want to come join.
Right.
Which I don't understand the difference, but whatever. It's whatever. So I was a bad boy, and I was driving with it mounted there by my windshield and driving hands free, and apparently that you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I did that apnea test Wednesday night and found out the results yesterday, and they called me. And Knight said the only way I can get hired, and they got me hired. They got me onboarded yesterday. I had to go get a CPAP machine and send them the serial number and the unit number and all that. So I'm officially hired. I got an employee ID number now.
There you go.
But I was kind of worried about it, but now I got to do my DOT physical every year. And I'm like, man, that sucks because all these years I've been getting my DOT, because I started getting my DOT physical when I was doing tires. I worked for GCR and I drove a service truck, and they made us get our DOT physicals every 2 years just to drive their truck.
Make sure you go in and log that too, all that information on that damn chip that's in that machine. Because you will have one hell of a time
Yeah, they said the doctor said that I got to make sure that when I come in for my physical that I bring in the last 90 days of the reports.
Yeah. And if you miss a day or whatever, if you're gonna sit and watch TV, just stick it on and let it run.
Hey, Big Bird, were you in Sarah's live yesterday when that guy was talking about the ATA's report on driver shortages?
I might have been.
I know Rocky was, because Rocky jumped his ass when he turned around and said it was an ATA report.
Are you talking about that guy yesterday?
Yeah.
I've been following that Delilah law.
TA, he was going to take that for the gospel.
But I just looked on, what is this? FreightWaves,
just throw it in the
and it flat out says there is no widespread truck driver shortage in 25.
What is that?
See, I've been following that Delilah law.
There never has been
No.
a driver shortage.
But the reason I've been following that Delilah law is I guess that's straight and direct with the H2 immigrant, H3 immigrant thing, losing their CDLs that they keep talking about.
Hell.
I
You
guess
were not going over
bill
there to say hi to your friend.
That bill's supposed to get passed. It got passed on to the House, I guess, to get, go through the House now. So
Yeah, it's making traction.
But I believe that's what everybody keeps talking about, the 250 to 300,000 immigrants that are going to be losing, that would lose their CDL because of that, law.
That ain't even really that many that they're claiming. That's
Yeah, I figured that. They always trump up the numbers, but I've just been following it just to see where it goes, I know I just read a report. I didn't read the whole report, but I know that they're talking about a shortage in mechanics right now. I do know that's coming.
Dad, look at me.
But I think we've been dealing with that problem for years, in my opinion.
The thing that gets me is because it's two guys that started that whole ordeal, and they're having problems with their companies.
Well, I had to inform my buddy yesterday just to be careful because he's getting ready to head up to Illinois to go to work for some company called Max Carriers. And I asked him, are they a Russian company or are they foreigners? He said, I don't know. So I got on the Secretary of State. I can't pronounce the guy's name that owns it. So I said, just be careful, man. I don't know the company. I never heard of them. Their SafeWeb showing 196 trucks or 196 drivers, So I just told them to be careful.
If it's the one I'm thinking of,
they're not.
No, it is not one of those.
They're not in Chicago because at first he told me they were in Chicago, and then when I looked them up, it says they're in Summit. Hold on, I got the picture.
Yeah, well, that's Chicago. It's a suburb of Chicago.
They're in Summit.
Yeah, it's a suburb.
Yeah, I don't go up there much. I got a buddy of mine that's up there right now. He's doing work for the junkyards and stuff. And I just, because my buddy that's going up there, he's brand new. I mean, completely brand new. Never been in a truck. He's brand new to trucking. But he lost his business when Helena hit us on the west coast of Florida. And,
right.
He also had problems with the county because he was a smoke shop. So they shut him down for a year over code violations. A lot of it had to do with his nephew. His nephew went into that county office and he did that whole New York spill on him with the run of the mouth. And the county came in and did their business with him. So it's all about how you talk to people. You got to be careful what you say and how you say it.
Yeah.
And, He just went through a bad spill and he jumped into doing trucks. So I guess he's team driving for Max Carriers though. I just don't know nothing about him.
Yeah, I don't either. I've seen him around.
So, but I mean, I've got friends that are running for Russians, and they have had no issues getting paid or you're making good money. So I don't know.
No, they don't. A lot of them really aren't that bad. It's just easier to get a job with them because they don't care.
Well, that's like
It's
that.
like everybody says, if you got a felony, go to Felony Express, but it's.
Well, that company that I signed up with in February, they're in Lubombo, Illinois. JDM.
Lombard.
Yeah, Lombard. That's where they're at. Josh. So they got 3 different names I found out. So they got JDM Co-Freight. They got Josh Muelzer Incorporated. And then they also, their fuel cards are ran underneath Line Star Logistics. For which, when I looked up Line Star Logistics, that's an Ohio company.
Yeah, those are the companies that I watch out for.
Yeah, they got me pretty decent, man. They got me for about, I'd say probably, I know what we're taking them to court for. We're taking them to court for about 15 grand. And I filed with the FMSEA, that NCCB or whatever it's called. I think within 48 hours, they sent me an email back saying that they weren't going to pursue any investigations into them.
That's what I don't get. When you do that stuff with these companies and they don't pursue it.
And that's
a lot of it is they don't have enough people to do it.
Well, and that's, I mean, I don't know, man. I know it's different. Like, I know, like, if we have an issue with, in
what the hell?
In the pew pew world, we have an issue there. There's programs and foundations that help you out with that.
Why did I just get a restriction in this one?
Uh-oh.
I want Stack back.
I'd like to comment on that Delilah law.
Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so while it bans non-domicile CDLs, which are the people that are coming here and are looking for a way to either gain permanent residence and then U.S. citizenship, but aren't yet have that in place, that's good. But what it does, it establishes into law, which can be changed further down the line by another administration, that H-2A and H-2B and E-2 visas can be used, can be given a CDL. So what mega carriers are going to start doing is just directly shipping third world country people over here to drive. And that cannot be changed unless Congress changes itself. It won't be just a FMCSA guideline, it'll be actual law. So if they were to remove that part of the Delilah law, it would be great for trucking. But if they keep that, I think it's just going to be more of the same.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, though, is you already have DACA guys that have been here since the age of 3, and they have their CDL, and they're being revoked for it right now.
Right. So DACA falls under non-domicile CDLs.
Oh yeah.
H-2A and H-2B visas is somebody or a company in the U.S. given a visa for somebody to fly directly to the U.S. to be given employment as a CDL truck driver.
Right, that
Uh,
company has to sponsor them.
right. So I don't think that's any better than having non-domicile CDLs on the road, because these people are going to be historically. I mean, tech companies use these people for now decades, and they pay them half of what the U.S. counterpart would be paid. So it's not a good system, and I don't think it should be codified into law for companies to be able to do that.
So
Been following it just to see. I may have misread that. I thought it affected the people that had the H2 and the visas. That's what I thought it affected them.
No, it's part of the bill that specifically those visas that are used historically to bring workers from third world countries here. Um, it's going to be part of the law, which is bad for American truck drivers, because historically these people have been paid half, if not a third, not a quarter of what the job actually pays.
Yeah, I misread it then. I misunderstood it when I read it. That's that dyslexia for me. That's why I try to read things 4 or 5 times.
Yellowhammer says George Ryan sold me his CDL. Yeah, that was years ago. I remember that. So apparently my restriction is the gift restriction because my kid was in the video.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
And I believe if you can appeal it, that means somebody reported it.
Yes.
probably. Yeah, somebody
Yeah,
reported
and
it.
yeah.
Haters.
But anywhere you go in the world, you're gonna have them. That's for sure.
Yeah, but still, it's just, people just need to stay in their lane.
That they do.
They don't have anything better going for themselves, so they find another way to take it,
Yeah. Yeah.
make it miserable for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like me. I started a foundation, and I stopped. Um, it was for kids. It's still active on Sunbiz, but I never followed down with the 501c thing. I just got so much, I don't know what you call it, so much hate towards it, and I'm like, I don't understand why, you know. So I just haven't followed through with that one yet.
You in the central area, Sam, or are you in the northern south side?
I am. Do you know where 80 and 57 are at?
Yes.
I am right there, just south of that corner.
Over by the Petro area. Well, you're probably a little
Yeah.
north. You're probably a little north.
You talking about the Petro and Moni?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually about 20 minutes south of that. I don't know if you've heard of Kankakee. Yeah, I'm sitting there in Kankakee, just minutes north of where that tornado just went through.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it didn't affect us. It's actually the metropolis is Kankakee, Bradley, and Bourbonnais.
Yeah.
I'm in Bourbonnais. Kankakee got the tornado. Bradley got the hail and all the damage that went with it. And we just got a little pea-sized hail for like 10, 15 minutes. Didn't do any damage to anything.
Is that the same one that went up there and hit Three Rivers and all that up there in Michigan?
Talking about that tornado?
Yeah.
No, that's the one that went across. It started out here and it went as far as Ohio, but it did a lot of damage going through Indiana.
Well, it got some up there in Michigan too along the state line. Is that the same one?
And it might have. It, what, 2 weeks ago, I think it was? A week ago?
Yeah. Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
A week ago, a couple weeks, right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'll keep all that cold weather. I don't know if you've seen it when you were in the FOPT live. The first thing I said when I came in is everybody go to the beach.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen that. I wanted to say something, but
Beginning of this year has been all right with me. I have not seen none of that. I've been running the I-10 corridor, and I've been just happy, tickled pink. It's a little on the rough side, but I've been tickled pink.
My first run is I ran up to in February. I ran from Davenport, Florida, to Scranton, PA, and then from Scranton, PA, I ran to Syracuse, New York, and then I ran back down.
Am I going by myself or?
yeah, we go all over, mostly east of 35. We've got a couple places west of it, but not much.
No, Knight's talking about me hitting all 48. I don't know how. Some of the drivers I talked to from Knight, they're like, nah, you won't really hit all 48. I mean, once you're in your own truck, maybe, but.
You know, hopefully you're not scared in one of those that I won't go into the burrows. So I'm telling you, there ain't nothing wrong with the burrows.
Listen, man. So I think it was my second run out. I ran. Where did I pick up? I think it was Georgia, and I ended up having to go to Cranberry, New Jersey, and then from Cranberry, New Jersey, I picked up an empty for ITS. Oh, that's what it was. I went from West Palm to Georgia, from Georgia to New Jersey, and I was delivering to the FedEx, and then picked up at the FedEx in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Boy, let me tell you what, I give it to them drivers. You know, I make fun of them when they come down here to Florida. I said they can't drive worth nothing. I'm telling you, man, that was the worst predicament that I had ever seen myself in, with a 53-foot trailer in my truck, and I had to turn around. Can't make a U-turn; it's too tight, you know. And the way they had the roads set up there, it was in the four-way crossings. They were more offset. So where I needed to make my turn at, I was touching the curb on the oncoming traffic, trying to turn to get into, to turn around. It was very tight. Very, very tight. And then the driver from FedEx that drives a day cab, he's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have been back there. I'm like, yeah, you think? I figured it out, though. I figured out how to get out of there and get around.
We don't do the burrows. I've been across, gone over to the base over there on the coast, cut over there, pick up a helium trailer, swap one out, come back across. But other than that, we don't do anything in the burrows. That was my choice to do it. The customer asked. Yeah, what the hell?
When I was running for TMC, I made a lot of money in New England, and a lot of it came out of the boroughs.
Right.
You have to find out who my uncle drove for. He passed away in his truck. He was running from West Virginia to Maryland. My uncle's brother, and I guess they don't know what happened. They still to this day don't know what happened. He drove off a mountain, They don't know if it was because he was tired or if something jumped out in front of him. They're not sure. But it was just a couple years back that this happened. But he did flatbed, and my uncle, he drove for Boyd. And they said a lot of their money came out from Maryland, New Jersey, New England, for flatbedding.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made up there.
And that was the reason when I bought my trucks, I made sure I bought a flatbed.
So whoever reported me, if you're still in there, this is my daughter. If you got a problem with my daughter, why don't you come have a talk?
That part. Shouldn't have anything against kids anyway. And that was the whole point of our foundation that we were starting here in Florida. Me and my wife, we lost our son about 9 years ago. And he was misdiagnosed, and then when we went after the doctor for it, they covered all their tracks, and we couldn't even get a court date.
Why have your shoes on?
So we were starting this foundation was to help children that had illnesses like his or worse.
Right.
To try to, transport them to better doctors or transport them to better places to, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just couldn't get anywhere, and I got a lot of hate for it because they were like, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, it's for the better of the children. It's not for anything else, So, but yeah, because that doctor just covered everything up. And then that's when we started working with the foster homes and stuff here locally with our shop, trying to help those kids figure out what they're going to do when they get out of there and they're adults.
Don't maybe put it back in my ear.
That grandbaby's about her age.
Yeah, my daughter just left with her mom. She's on her way to Lowe's. They do this thing once a month or twice a month at Lowe's where you can build like today they're building a lawnmower. Last time she went to the club, they built a birdhouse.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, Lowe's does it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And my daughter's doing it, and she did a really good job doing her birdhouse.
Might have to check into that around us. See if they do it over here.
They should. It's Lowe's. So if you've got a Lowe's up there, they do it. As far as I know, it's called. I have to ask my wife. Yeah. I think it's a great skill for kids to learn. Working with hammers and nails and building things. It's a great skill. How I was when I was a kid. My dad, my grandfather, and them, they put us on a horse farm, made us shovel horse manure and get the stalls ready. And if we had to repair a stall or repair a fence, that's what we were out there doing, repairing a stall or repairing a fence. I was raised with that motto, a jack of all trades, master of none.
That's the best way to be.
Sometimes you gotta be MacGyver.
Yeah, I've had to do that. It's helped me in the mechanic industry, I'll tell you that. I've had to MacGyver some stuff up because when was it? They had a real big, large back order on semi parts, certain parts for semis. And we were running into a problem. I was having a hard time getting IPR valves or stuff like that. And, we were talking weeks and weeks out. And the last thing a driver wants is, to be where he can't drive for a couple of weeks. He ain't making no money. And had to rebuild something right there on the spot.
Quiet. Why don't you go in your room and play? Okay.
The only bad part, Big Bird, that I've had with this whole getting hired on with nights is where it's cost me so much with the testing and buying a CPAP machine. And
yeah, I know. And the thing is, How much? I take it you don't have insurance, so how much they hit you for on that CPAP machine?
$785.
That's not too bad.
Ooh.
Not too bad.
$785 for that, and then I had to spend $189 for the test, the sleep test itself.
How?
But now, say if that was somebody that wasn't in my shoes, where I still make a little bit of, I still make a little bit of decent money doing what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if it was another driver that was just fresh into the industry, and maybe he ain't got that kind of money just laying around. He ain't got insurance. But who's there to help him? Now he's out because, Knight flat out told me if I don't get the machine, they will not hire me. If I did not do the sleep test, they will not hire me.
And that's the thing that gets me too, which I understand the reason why they're doing it, but it's not in the FMCSR on that. They tried to push that a while back, but I can understand why some of these companies do this. It's their policy and all that.
Yeah, and I understand that, but what happens? You run across somebody that literally, they've been unemployed. Like me, when I closed our shop in November, and I was in between all my stuff, and I decided, all right, in January I'm gonna go get my CDL. I bought these trucks. I came out of pocket $3,700 for my CDL. I came out of pocket $120 for my DOT physical at Urgent Care here in Spring Hill. Now that's all out of pocket costs, and then on top of that $3,700, I had to spend another $315 for when the instructor did my road test. How that worked out, I have no idea. You're already charging me $37, but now you're gonna charge me for the test too. And then I had to pay for my CDL. That was, $15 when I took the permit, $30 or another $89 when I went back to get my hard copy of my CDL. But if you come across a driver that's passionate about getting into this, and he doesn't have the money, or this is whatever, then what? Who's there for him? Because you can't call IOTA or AA or whoever they are. They don't help with none of that stuff.
As far as getting your light, like myself, we've got a workplace improvement agency, and they paid for my schooling. It was a local school through a college, but they paid for all of it.
Well, and I know.
I mean, I had to pay for my permit and stuff like that, but
they grant you did kind of, it was more like a grant.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and I know Knight and Swift and all them do that too, and Schneider and all that. But like when I called Schneider in December, but because I lived in Florida where I lived at, they told me they couldn't hire me.
Because you're past their threshold.
I have this.
Yeah, and I mean Prime was gonna hire me, but man, I just couldn't. I couldn't do what they wanted me to do. They wanted me gone for 4 weeks, home for 3 days, and and I'm. It's not that I can't do it. I can do that. I can go out for 6 weeks. I can go out for 3 months if you want me to. But I have to ease my wife into me being gone that long. Because you got to think we've been married for 18 years, and I've always been home.
I've done it a couple times, a few times, but it's like if we have something that's coming up, and it don't throw us all off out of whack and everything, we'll take it and stay out a couple extra weeks or whatever it might be because we have something that is coming up. And then usually when we do that, we usually take a week and a half or sometimes 2 weeks off. Just because that's what, our plans are, that falls into it.
Well, like my uncle, he retired from Crete because he started with MS Carriers and them, and then went to Boyd, and he never drove for Swift. But then when he left Boyd, I believe he went straight to Crete, and he would stay out for 3 months at a time. Like He didn't come home for 3 months at a time. That's how he ran. He's like, that's how you need to run if you want to make any money. And I'm like, man, listen. I can do it if I
I
absolutely
hear a
had
lot
to.
of people talking about that, but here's the thing though, there's companies out there that, like myself, I do 6 figures and I'm home once or twice through the week and every weekend.
Well, and that's the reason I went with night, because nights, they told me it's 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out and 3 days home.
Yeah, but you're running more regional and in your area though, aren't you?
No. If I was running
I'm talking
regional,
about
I'd be
Sam.
home.
I'm talking about Sam.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah, I am. And he's a smaller company. He's got like maybe 50, 60 trucks somewhere in there.
Right.
But that's just it though. You could go to a mega fleet, get your time in, and if they're not going to pay you any more because you've got your time in, you can go somewhere else. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is when they're, well, we want more money. Well, okay, go find a company that's going to pay you for what you're worth. It's really that easy.
You're right.
That's what I did in the tire before I started my own shop, and I was a tire, mainly just strictly tires. GCR, they maxed me out at 22 an hour. Well, I left GCR and I went to work for somebody else making 28 an hour. And then if I would have stayed doing that, I was looking at going to I don't remember the name of the company now. I was going to be doing earth mover tires for them at 33 an hour. So I mean, it's there. You just got to negotiate when you get hired on. You got to negotiate your pay and what you need and your requirements in life. Every company I ever went to work for, I always negotiated my pay. I negotiated my time off, PTO. It also depends on how bad they want you too,
But here's the thing though, and a lot of people don't understand this, is when you go to a company and you agree to work for them for X amount of dollars and all that, you've got to hold up your end too. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be late all the time. I'm going to sleep in. And then wonder why the hell they're going to get rid of you.
Or they lower your pay, or, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Right.
I had employees at my shop that I did that with. They were making. I had this one guy. He worked for me for 2 years. His first year with me, $2,000-$3,000 a week in overtime and all that.
You got to build that relationship with your dispatcher on top of it all too. And if the dispatcher sees that you're a slacker or whatever, they're not going to put that much effort into you. And if you're a complainer all the time, they're not.
Yeah. I'm gonna
buy you at the bottom of the barrel. They're going to put the one that's more into it, more work ethic in the whole works. They're going to put them at the top. You're going to get the favoritism and all that kind of stuff too, which a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, it's anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I had that problem in our shop, and I ended up having to lower people's pay or put them on a salary because they were coming to work late, or they were messing up cars, or they were getting them dirty, And then if I had cars that came in that were nice, but even if they were not nice, they came in, and one of my mechanics got grease on their steering wheel or their seat. Well, now I'm having to pay a detail guy to come in and clean it.
When Rocky come in with that guy and asked the questions about that guy, and I don't know completely the whole story or whatever, but that guy could have been a complainer or whatever, and whatever happened, he said he was in an accident or whatever. That was just one of their possible ways of probably weeding him out of what he was doing, and he wasn't educated enough.
The tissues are in the closet.
Everything
They're not made in my bed.
See, and that's the problem. Like, see, I'm 1989. That's when I was born. So technically, I'm a millennial. But because I was raised by my grandparents, I give 110 to everything I do, and I don't complain about none of it. Like, I still talk to one of my old bosses, where I worked at a tire shop, in 2010 or 2011, I blew my knee out changing a tractor tire on the side of the road, right? I did that on a Friday. I never claimed workman's comp. I went home, propped my leg over the weekend, iced it, heated it, iced it, heated it. Went back to work on Monday. And I'm Big Bird, you've probably seen these being that you're from Florida. You know, them big 3-wheeled sprayers that run down the road?
Yeah.
I had to go change 6 of those tires on Monday, on that following Monday.
They use them
And
all up there. They use them all up there by, well, not the tall ones, but
Yeah, the ones we have down here are the tall ones.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm just.
You talking about the ones that you want to sit there and drive underneath?
Yeah, yeah. They use a lot of them for the orchards and all that, of what orchards do have left.
But yeah, that's something. That's the way I was raised. Though, is I never complained. I mean, unless I was bleeding all over the place and I couldn't move my leg. You know, my grandfather always said, you know, go to work. It ain't broke if it ain't broke if it ain't broke if you can move it. That's what I was taught. And now because of that, you know, my elbow. The doctor just informed me. I guess 5 years ago when I was changing that tire for that old veteran guy on the side of the road, and I was using a 4-way, my arm popped. When my arm popped, it shot a pain down my side and to my fingertips. And I was able to still move it. I woke up the next day, and my arm only bends out so far now. The doctor just recently told me, you know, you broke your arm. I'm like, what? You broke your elbow. You dislocated or something, but you broke it. So when they do the surgery, they got to re-break it and reset it.
I didn't even notice we had somebody else come in the group. Hello, hot ass.
Hey, Tiff.
What's up?
But yeah, I was like, so my grandpa was wrong. It doesn't mean that if you can move it, it ain't broke. That's what I was getting. So yeah, now I'm having to deal with a short arm, and that's the reason that I chose to drive instead of keep doing my mechanic, because I could have kept doing mobile mechanic and opened another shop and, you know, the whole 9, but my arm just can't handle it. I can't pull like if I got to pull a semi out, I got to pull the transmission out and do a clutch in a semi. I can't get in there with my little arms anymore and put the pressure that I need to break the bell housing bolts, because it shoots a pain through my fingertips and my forearm. It's just bearable. I just can't really deal with it, and that's the reason I chose to go to driving.
I was raised around the whole, unless the bone's hanging outside, rub some dirt on it, that'll fix it.
Yep.
If you've got something inside you that ails you, you either got Pepto-Bismol or Tussin. That was it.
I'll never forget the first time my grandma hit me with the I don't even know what it's actually called, but it's a liquid and it makes you puke.
That's Pepto-Bismol for me. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's Pepto-Bismol for me.
Was it pink?
It was a clear liquid, man, and it tasted horrible.
Oh,
God. Me and my brothers and sisters, we decided we were going to sit there and eat a whole bottle of Flintstone vitamins when we were kids in the 90s. And my grandma said, nope. She went to the pharmacy. She came back with this bottle, gave each one of us a spoonful of it, and set us down in a chair with a bucket in front of us. And I mean, probably 5 minutes after drinking that spoonful of that, we were in the bucket. I don't know what it was called. I can't remember the name of it, but boy, I'll never eat a bottle of Flintstones thinking it was candy again.
Well, that ain't gonna really do anything to you, because that's a bunch of vitamins anyway. A lot of it's vitamin C, so what your body's not gonna use is just you're just gonna
dispose of.
Yeah, dispose of it. That's the word. I was trying to be
PC.
Yeah.
Dad.
But yeah, they took.
That's
But
not
yeah,
so
I mean, my grandma and grandpa, they taught us a lot of things, you know. And
I know.
between my uncles, you know, and that's what got me into trucking as a kid, was between my dad and my uncles, you know.
That one right there got me into trucking right there.
I always want to need
That's how that works. I wish I could show. I wish I had my grandpa still here, but the doctor said my grandpa passed away because of being a truck driver. His kidney failure was caused by a truck.
He ended up with kidney cancer. That's why he's not.
I can agree with that.
He's got kidney He had kidney cancer. That's the reason why he's not in the truck no more.
Yeah, they said because of the old spring seats and the cab overs that my grandfather used to drive. Is what caused
I didn't get kidney stones till I got in a truck.
Right?
I had kidney stones.
You're not drinking enough lemon water.
Yeah, lemon water. Or,
I drink a lot of lemonade now. Shit's like that.
That's different. That is
Yeah,
so
it's not-
different.
Yeah, the
Yeah, but
lemonade.
they
the
tell
lemonade-
you it depends on what kind of lemonade you get.
Yeah.
But
I make a jug of it. I buy the green bottle from Winn-Dixie,
Yeah, lemon juice.
the
Yeah.
lemon juice, and I'll put so much of that into a gallon of water and a lot of it into it and make a gallon of it. And if I want it to be a little sweeter, I use the
apple cider vinegar.
ooh yeah. I've done that trick too. Or pickle juice, man.
Yeah.
Pickle juice does the trick too.
You ever notice how that apple cider vinegar is becoming a real big thing for a lot of cures?
Yeah.
Well, a few years back, I recently learned what the positive.
Back in the day, that was on a grandma's homemade recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Pickle juice has so many good things that it does for everything.
Oh yeah.
Dehydration, cramping.
I use pickle juice when I cook meats. Great tenderizer.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's something when you're taking it driving out in these parts, and you're watching the mountains and you're watching the hills and all that, and you look over and you wonder, how in the heck did that pile of dirt out there, rock and all that, get there? I don't understand, the glaciers and all this and that, but how in the heck did that thing get that level on top?
Oh, don't get me started on that one. I had a long discussion with my mother on that one.
But did they bulldoze all that out there, and then they put a tower on top of it all out there? That's the only thing that's out there, out in the middle of nowhere, and you got this big old huge pile of dirt, and it's completely level on top of it.
Okay, so you take that, and there is actually people out there that say those used to be trees. If you're talking about the buttes, people say those used to be trees. So that means you're talking giant style trees, right? Now, they're also saying out there on Easter Island that they've started digging some of those heads up, and they're finding bodies down into the ground with them that match the size of them.
Well, like up there in Michigan, they're finding a lot of them, what do you call it, mammoths. They found a few of the mammoths and all that up around Michigan. And
right.
But yeah.
So when you sit there and add all that up, were there not giants at one time, and we were just the little crumbs running around the ground?
The ants.
Right.
Well, if that's the case, that these were some major big ass trees, and they would have had to have one hell of a big ass chainsaw to cut that sucker down.
Well, and if you look around, they're all leveled out at about the same height.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So what the hell came across and cut them all down at that same height? If that was the case,
right?
Yeah. I get in trouble for opening my mouth on some of that stuff with people on the phone because they're like, your brain and the way it goes wild. Well, I mean, you look at this stuff and you just gotta wonder.
Imagination, that's part of it.
Right.
But the part that I really like the best, I think that really I like the mountain train and all that. But the part that really gets me is that part on 40 there in Arizona. What is the name of that area there? When you come out of Needles and get out there, dog it. The part where all the rocks, these big boulders, are stacked on top of each other, and they're just leveling. They're just sitting there. I mean, stacked on top of each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Who in the hell stacked all them suckers up there like that?
Yeah, because they're not little pebbles either.
No.
They're like twice the size of Cadillacs and shit.
They're bigger than Cadillacs. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Some of them are bigger than houses. I mean, that my first time ever going out west and coming across that it's just totally amused me. And every time I go through there, I just think about my first time ever going out west and seeing all that and driving truck and all that. And then my second part is going getting set up to Eureka, California, going through the redwoods and all that.
Yeah.
The first time that I ever scared the crap out of me and was digging foam out of my rear end too. Going up through there, I got a little too cocky and almost laid over a CO2 trailer going up through there. I was having them loggers egg me on, and I was going a little too fast for the curves and caught the side of the mountain and big old rock. Yeah, a 3-foot person could have walked up underneath that trailer, and I grabbed a hold of that old Charlie brake and brought her back down. But yeah, I learned my lesson that you can't straighten out a curve real quick. And I was green. I was green as could be going out west too. And I spent 7 weeks out there running back in the day. And yeah, that being the first time out there in green and all that out there, yeah, that was a good eye opener.
But you about pissed yourself too.
Oh, I think I did, and that was part of the help lube out the foam out of the seat. Because as them loggers drove by, they said, "Hey, he's gonna need a record to can pull all that foam out of his rear end." Yeah, the flatbed guy pulled over there and pulled up there behind me. He said, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah, just a little shook up." Like, whoa.
I love these little AI summaries down here in the chat session. It just, yeah. Discussing ancient mysteries like the Moai statues. Share your theory. It just, yeah. But no, I like going out west, especially if you hit northern, like around top of Wyoming and Montana, where you start getting into the reservations. You get to see how things were done by nature, or how man actually did it without spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you get into like different areas where you can tell that society or civilization turned around and did a whole lot more that they didn't need to do.
Right. Well, that's like up there in Michigan. If you get up there around Myers and the Silver Lake area and all that, the Silver Lake dunes and all that, and the history of the dunes, and I still got property up there. But that was all timberland at one time. And they went in there and cut all the timber and all that, and the people who owned all the dunes and all that, they go up there and ride dune buggies and all that up in there, and you still come across a lot of the stumps and all that out there, and whole works, and then one whole north side of the Silver Lake, there's literally houses underneath them dunes that have been covered up. And you'll see where the dunes have shifted, and where some of them that do still have cottages and all that up there, that they remove a lot of that sand and spend a lot of money removing that sand on that side of that lake. It just keeps covering it up. But the timber company ended up going ahead and giving it over to the state, so now the state completely owns that property and the DNR and all that. But yeah, the history of all that is pretty cool. And one part of the other side of the lake was a big dope. So that whole community, while they're up there timbering and all that, and they had one section of the dope where just that goes way back.
Oh yeah.
And then you get there, like in Florida, there were a lot of Indian tribes and all that. Their villages.
This has to dry.
And they do their sections of that where it's you can't go hunting for arrowheads and all that.
Oh. So what are you up to, Tiff?
Chilling at the
Sitting at
house.
home still?
Huh? Yeah, well, shit, I was sick I'm just now getting over it, finally. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, you sounded pretty rough the other day.
Yeah. Strep throat, ear infection, and upper respiratory infection. It kicked my ass.
Bet it did.
Not the way I wanted to spend my time at home. But I was already coming down. I was already coming down sick when I goes on the road, anyways, because I was running fevers and couldn't kick it. I just get home and it all just hits me all at once. And then Sunday, I was like, Dad, you got to take me to the emergency room. I was like,
My tissue box. Nice. Why? Why?
School.
Hey!
yeah, it was horrible.
Sounds like it.
What? I made this all by myself.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna hop off here.
Alright,
Spend some time with the little one. Maybe get my butt kicked at Mario Kart.
What are y'all doing?
We're playing Mario Kart. And then I gotta
How
cook dinner
old?
later.
How old?
She's 6.
Fun.
6. Come say hi.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful. What are you doing?
Oh, you're in my ear.
What are you?
But all right, I'm gonna hop off here. You guys enjoy your day.
Hey, you just say, man. Catch you on the flip flop.
All right, later.